Hello everybody, welcome to part one of our Eurasian Lynx. We are going to crack on straight away with this piece. Just to go through the materials, I've got a 2H, 2B, 4B, 6B pencil, mono eraser, blending stump number 1, an off sheet piece of paper to clean my mono eraser off. I did have a 6B. It has gone for a wander. No idea where that's gone. So we're going to get started. I did actually start and then I was waffling and realised I was waffling too much, so I'm restarting this. So we're going to start off with our 2H. We're going to work on the most identifying feature of a lynx, which is this little fluffy bit that flicks off their ear tips. And we're just going to work our way down this ear. We'll probably just get the ear done for part one. It's quite detailed. Now I don't know if you guys used your indentation tool for this. I haven't for the ear, but I have for the whiskers, which I did say in the description. It wasn't a must. You didn't have to do it if you didn't want to. I know a lot of you couldn't get the whiteness up. It is tricky. It is very, very tricky. So don't worry about it if you didn't. Sharpen up my 2B and I'm going to carry on. I'm going to really darken these down. These are jet black hairs, but it's still important that we create the hairs with this. I'm hoping to get at least an hour out of this before my daughter gets home. She went about half hour ago to the park. So yeah, I'm very much hoping that I've got at least an hour before she's back. We actually bought her a bike yesterday, and she's so cute on it. It's just weird watching her grow up just so quickly. So I'm still recovering from the marathon. Gosh, this is my first video since the marathon actually. So the marathon was a week today. It's been a week. It just feels mad that it's done and dusted. Like, yeah, I can't describe that at all actually. Like, I just it feels like a dream. Doesn't feel like I completed it. Nearly didn't complete it. I may as well talk about it a little bit. Oh, sorry, I've just realised I was covering up the camera. I'm not really doing anything, just as in anything extra. I'm just keeping the hairs going and flicking them up, trying to keep the edges just clear, but just darkening that down. Switching back to that 2H, and the hair for our ear, so it's actually going to curve round here. And then you can just see we've got kind of like a meeting point, and then the hair is going to kind of tail off over and into that twisty twirl, like off into this sort of direction, as you can see. And it's kind of again meeting in the middle and then flicking out to the top there. Yeah, so it was an incredible experience, an experience I would recommend to absolutely anybody. If you feel like you could do something like that, do, because yeah, like, it was the most hardest day I've ever experienced. You know, when you're battling your own mind and your body is literally like, stop, this hurts, you need to stop, and it's constantly telling you. And then some of the volunteers are like, are you sure you're okay? Like, oh gosh, it's so hard at that point to just get through that mental barrier. But what an experience. Then it isn't about the run itself or the mileage itself. The marathon is about what it brings to the community. Like, random strangers were screaming my name, just random people, like telling me I've got it, and you know, to keep going, one foot in front of the other. Like, there was so much like amazing, like everyone was willing you on, like everyone wanted you to do it well, everybody wanted that person that they've never met before, never seen before in their lives, and just in that split second is going by them, and they just want to support you and tell you that you've got it. And what made me laugh is at mile 3, and one of the signs was like, don't worry, just an S-ton more to go. And I was like, yeah, another 23.2 to go. And like every so often we'd creep across a new band, and there'd be live music from pubs and just people's houses, and there was Morris dancers, and oh, it was just, I can't express how incredible just the community as a whole was, even in like the quieter zones. The first, like, I'd probably say the first like 6 miles was relatively quiet. It gets busy around about mile 9 to mile, well, to the end, and it was just like people would still come out and support you. And then in the early miles it was really frustrating because people would like try and cross the road as you're running by, and you're just like, seriously. But yeah, no, very, very, very fun. Going back to that 2H just to finish this section of the ear here. Curving that pencil round this ear. Yeah, and just so many people were just so lovely, and the other races were really, really lovely as well. And such a really lovely spirit. Like I couldn't see my friend until mile 3 because she was in another wave to me. So she was in red wave and I was in blue. So I was running with this girl called Rebecca. I wish I could find out who and where she is, and I've tried, but unfortunately I've just not been able to make contact with her. She was so lovely, but in the earlier miles she was like struggling a little bit with like a stitch, and we just ended up just chatting a little bit, and it was just really nice. But yeah, unfortunately I don't have her details to, you know, check in and see how she got on and how she crossed and stuff. But yeah, it was just so good. And like when you go past like different charities, switch to 2B, even though like they're waiting for their people, they would still cheer you on. And then when you see people like seeing their family and friends, like how excited they are to see them, even though they saw them a few hours earlier. Like it's just so amazing. Like what a day, what an absolute day. So you're probably wondering about my injury, and I will talk a little bit about it actually, because I don't mind. So my physio isn't really calling it an injury now because we're not really sure, but then obviously I need to touch base with him this week, which I'll explain. So when I got to mile 18, I was keeping up with this. They have like these, they're called paces, and they're just people that run a certain like speed, and they have a time on them. So for example, the one I was following was 6 hours, so she would complete the marathon in 6 hours. So if you kept up with her and kept up with her pace, that's what you were expecting, the 6 hours to complete. And I was keeping up with her, and I was doing absolutely fine, and it was really, really nice. And it was like a stop start. It's called jeffing. So like you stop, you run a little bit, you stop, you run a little bit, you stop, you run a little bit, you stop. And it was kind of how I was training anyway. So I was keeping up with her, I was doing really well. I was really pleased when I bumped into them, because I thought, oh, you know, I can put my rest of my marathon into the hands of somebody else. And then I don't know why this girl done it, but she decided to cross in front of me. Rather than going around to the left of me where there was loads and loads of space, she crossed right in front of me, which if I took another step towards her, we would have fallen. So I took a step out to the left of me, and had I had a little bit more like strengthening conditioning, so a little bit more strength behind my, because you can't just go out and run, like you should never just go out and run, you should build your body to withstand a run through strengthening and conditioning. And had I done more of that, which I did do a bit of it, but I didn't obviously put a lot of time and effort into it, I just kept going out and doing these runs. That step out to the side, I probably wouldn't have injured myself so much. So it caused my knee to spasm, caused my knee to spasm, and it like twisted out. And then every step from that point was just absolute agony. Like, I can't even describe that pain. It was just something I hadn't experienced before. So I met my family, so I was what, mile 16, mile 18. So I met my family at just after mile 19, who gave me some paracetamol, just because you can't take things like ibuprofen on the day because it's quite dangerous. So I took some paracetamol to see if that would alleviate it, and then walked just a mile just to see, and then I tried to bring in that run, and unfortunately my knee just wouldn't allow me to. The pain was just off the charts. So unfortunately it meant that I had to walk. It was either give up or walk it, and being who I am, I decided to walk it, and I walked 8.2 mile, and I won't lie, that was horrendous. Literally, I had not planned to walk 8.2 mile, so the fact that I had to was just awful. Like, yeah, the fact that I did it, now that I'm looking back, the fact that I did 8.2 mile walk is bonkers. Like, I can't believe that I managed to mentally do that. Every single step was telling me to stop. Every single step was like, no, you're done, no, you're done. And I was like, no. And then the St. John's ambulance crew would be like, you okay, what do you need, can I get you something, do you want to stop, you can have a little rest, do you want me to take you up? And I was like, nope, if I stop I will not be able to go. Like, I went to the loo a couple of times, which was an experience in itself, and just that small stoppage in my walk would mean that I'd be so, like, my muscles be so tight trying to break out into another run or another walk again. It would take me a couple of like strides before I'd feel like I could go and walk I say comfortably, I was limping, it was awful. Anyway, so yeah, those last 8 miles were quite quiet. The crowds had really thinned off. Obviously it's a Sunday, people back in work on the Monday, and a lot of them just come, and the weather wasn't great, and it was just really hard. It was really hard being on my own. My friend who I was with decided that, this was before I got injured, our paces were just different. My only recommendation to anybody doing this, if you're doing it with someone else, you need to make sure your pace is exactly the same, because if one of you is slower, like we were only, when we compared our paces, it was only by about 2 or 3 minutes, which didn't sound like a lot when we were training, but on the day it really was quite evident that our paces were too far out. So she didn't want to go that slow, so she decided that she wanted to finish sooner, which was fine. But equally, like, because I hadn't planned for that, I found that really quite mentally tough. So yeah, it was really quite hard. But yeah, I would not recommend it. Like, everyone I've spoken to, I've said, you know, if you've ever thought about doing it, do it, like, because it's such an amazing experience. And London is one of the better ones from what I've been reading about through like the groups and stuff. Like, there's like 6 world majors. So you've got Tokyo, Chicago, New York, Boston, London, and the other ones are not as one of them's really not as welcoming, and there's just like a few things like that. So to be able to do London is, you know, what an opportunity. So yeah, I do recommend it. If anybody's ever looking to do it, I recommend it fully. But I also recommend having proper training, proper strength and conditioning, so you don't get injured, you don't become that statistic. And there were so many people that just weren't able to complete because of injury, and that is so sad. Like, there was one girl, I think we were